Hello mi gente and welcome back to Not That Knows Best, my channel dedicated to all things food. So after hitting you guys with last week's dessert episode, I figured why not come back and touch my Latin roots? Why not make the Miami classic steak that everyone loves? It's juicy, it's mouth-watering, it's tender. If you don't know what it is yet, just stay tuned because in today's episode, we're making churrasco with chimichurri sauce. So in order to make a great churrasco, it all starts with the cut of meats. And typically you have two choices of meats. You can have a flap or a flank steak, or you could have a skirt steak. I personally like skirt steaks because they really hold a marinade well. However, I do recommend going to an actual meat market or a butcher, whatever you guys call it. Don't go to your local supermarket. Here locally we have Publix, and although they do carry that type of cut of meat, even after seasoning the hell out of it, it still doesn't taste like that Miami style restaurant churrasco that you get. So I would pay more attention to the type of meat you buy and go to a specialized meat store. So I'm gonna show you really quick. Of course, I have it in my little marinade bag. So you'll notice that a good skirt steak has a lot of the tendons showing, and you want to make sure that once we get to actually cooking the steak, that you don't cut along the bias. You want to cut across the bias. So now that I've discussed the basics of the steak, the most important part now is to make our marinade. Now, I previously made this marinade, so we're gonna go back into the future and you're gonna see me in better lighting, but nonetheless, the marinade is extremely important because this marinade will help tenderize our meat. It won't have a lot of seasonings, and I'll explain why, but it really works down those tendons so you have a juicy steak at the end. So I'm going to get started on the marinade for our churrasco. First, I'm going to grab a cup of orange juice, and to that, I'm going to add 3/4 of olive oil. I'm going to whisk this together. Next, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. And to that, I'm also going to add 2 teaspoons of dried oregano and 1 teaspoon of cumin. So you're gonna notice that this marinade doesn't have salt or any other seasonings in it, and it's solely because we want to use this marinade as a way to tenderize our meat. Remember, the churrasco meat that you buy has those tendons that you want to break down a bit to give it a little bit more tenderness when you actually cook the meat. So we're gonna use the acidity from the orange juice to achieve that. And anything else that we've added, whether it was the oregano or the garlic, is going to produce some aromatics to start building that flavor profile. So you're gonna grab a bowl and add a gallon Ziploc bag in it. And you're gonna add our 2 pounds of meat. So now that I've added our meat to the bowl, I'm going to pour over our marinade. And again, for some aromatics, I'm going to add some sliced onions. And now that we have everything combined in a bag, I'm just going to seal it, leaving a little bit of air, just a little, and begin to massage. And I'm going to let this marinate for 4 hours or overnight. So now that our steak is marinating, we're gonna go ahead and get started with our chimichurri sauce. First, we're going to grab about a handful of our parsley. This is fresh parsley. Cut the stems. And we're gonna need roughly about 1 cup. And I'll say this now, I've noticed a lot of people when they make their chimichurri sauces, they use a food processor. I would not recommend using that, only because a chimichurri is typically a very loose oil-based condiment. And if you're gonna be using a food processor and blending everything down, it becomes more of a paste, and that's not what you want. So definitely just cut these up with a sharp knife. You don't need anything fancy like that. Now that we have our 2 messy piles of parsley and cilantro, we're going to add it to a bowl along with some of our olive oil and red wine vinegar to kind of give that extra flavor. So now it's time to grill our churrasco. So our churrasco's done, and I have a little story to tell you. If it looks a little smoky in here, it's because I don't have an outdoor grill, and I attempted to grill inside como una tonta and casi quemo la casa. I literally almost burnt down the house, so I had to do a quick redo, and I put the churrasco on a pan and I seared it so it won't be grilled. However, it'll still taste good, so let's try it. So remember, I cooked the steaks to either medium or medium well because that's how they kind of keep the same juices. If you cook them to well done, they're just not gonna have the same texture. So because I wanted to keep our steak tasting very pure without having way too many seasonings that would overpower the meat, I decided to have the seasonings more in the chimichurri. So if you look, it has that bright, vibrant color. So I'm gonna get this bite right here. Matter of fact, no, I want this one. So good. The citrus, and then the salt, and the garlic, and the cumin, all of it together gives you an amazing Miami style steak. I'm gonna get one last bite, just maybe the corner this time. This is super rico. Right now, you know what? Cue the salsa music. This is off the This is amazing. It is so good. All right, mi gente. there you have it. That's how I make a Miami style churrasco with chimichurri sauce. Remember, we have episodes dropping every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so please stay tuned. If you guys like this recipe, please go ahead and give me a like, a comment, a share, subscribe. Show your girl some love because we are so close to 100 subscribers. Woo! And without further ado, thank you so much for watching Nata Knows Best.